Hello, my name is Keenan Newton, and I'm a Senior Product Marketing Manager for SharePoint developers. And this is the second part to the introduction of the new app model for SharePoint in 2013. In this second part, we're going to take a look at a SharePoint hosted app and a cloud hosted app. First, let's take a look at the SharePoint hosted app. A SharePoint hosted app is one where the business logic is implemented within the client, essentially the browser. These types of apps do not have any external dependencies, nor do they use any server-side code, but they can utilize some SharePoint artifacts, such as lists and libraries for storing content. The typical languages and technologies used for executing these apps is HTML5, JavaScript, and other web standards.
Here we're going to create an app for SharePoint, and with this app it'll be used to manage lists for my app. So I can create and delete lists and also view the existing lists that are already there. In order to do this, we're going to use something called Napa. And Napa is a new web browser based development environment that we have created that allows you to develop apps for Office and SharePoint right from your web browser. Napa is available with a developer tenant in Office 365. So let's go ahead and click Napa in my developer site. And as you can see, I have an existing project already that I'm using for the weather, and I'm going to add a new project. And my new project can either be an app for SharePoint, a content app for Excel, TaskMan app for Office, or Mail app for our Office. But we're just going to go ahead and create one for SharePoint. We're going to call it List Manager. Click Create. And then immediately what you're going to see is something that looks very similar to what you see in Visual Studio, where I have colored syntax. I have basically my coding page on the left-hand side over here. I have something that looks similar to my Solution Explorer. I can right-click in a folder here. I can add a new item. I can add new subfolders, upload content, copy, paste, delete, rename. All the stuff we're usually used to within the Solution Explorer. Down here in the lower left-hand side, I have the ability to run a project, to remove a project, go into the properties, like to change permissions or different properties of the app itself. I can also open the project in Visual Studio, so it downloads all the code, opens it up in Visual Studio. I can share the project with somebody. That way I can make it available, let's say, on my blog and share it with other people. And then I can finally go ahead and publish my project to the store, so I can have a real great experience for getting my apps out into the Office store. First, what we're going to do is we're going to add a div tag here, and we're going to make it so we can have a input box to input the new name for a new list. We're going to have a drop down of available lists and the ability to delete a list. So let's go ahead and put in that HTML. Okay, great. Now we went ahead and put in the HTML. Let's go ahead and go to our app.js file. Now, you'll notice here at the top here there was already some HTML that was pre-existing, and that's kind of a hello world sample that's already here. So when we go into the app.js file, you'll see that we have this hello world that basically gets your username and sets it to that div tag that had the ID of message. Otherwise, if it couldn't get the name, it'll throw an alert message. But what we're going to do is first we're going to add some event handlers to handle the click events for our create and delete buttons. Okay, now that we have the event handlers created, we're going to add one more method call here called display lists. That'll render the lists to the select box. So now that we have the event handlers called and the initial method of display list called during the startup of the app, we'll go ahead and stub those functions out. Okay, now that we have them subbed out, let's go ahead and implement the display lists method. On display lists, we're going to go ahead and get all the lists for the web. So at the very top here, we're going to specify a new variable called lists. And we're going to go ahead and set that to all the lists from the getLists function of the SP web here. And we're going to take the context, we're going to load lists, and then we're going to execute the context. And we're going to add in 2 handlers for the callback. Okay, now we are creating the callback handlers. So first we'll do the onSuccess handler. And then once we got that subbed out, we'll go ahead and create the onGetFailed handler in case something went wrong. We'll handle it here. So for the success one, what we're going to do is we're going to remove all of the items within the list select element. And then we're going to go ahead and add the items from the lists that are returned. So now we're going to create a list numerator, which will allow us to enumerate over the lists. And while there's still lists to be enumerated over, we'll go ahead and add each one to the select box. Once we have created the option element, we'll go ahead and add that to the list select. Okay, now that we have success created, we'll go ahead and add some code to deal with failed event. And we're done. So let's just quickly take a look at the code, make sure I didn't make mistakes, and change create element because it should be lowercase c there. Let's see, anything else? I think we're good. So let's go ahead and try running this. So we're going to upload the project since we've already uploaded it once. We'll have to install again, and here we go. You can see that I have my lists available onto me right here. So let's go ahead and wire up the create and delete functions. So starting with the create function, we're going to go ahead and create an instance of the sp.listCreation information. We're going to go ahead and get the title back from the create text box.